Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny, and today we're going to be participating in the Totally Should've book tag. This tag has 11 prompts. I will link the original creator and the original video down below, so if you guys are interested, if you have your own channels and would like to participate, please do so. This is, I believe, an older tag, and I haven't seen very many people do it recently, and so I would like to see it come back around. So yeah, let's get started. The first prompt is a book that totally should have had a sequel. For this prompt, I chose Murder Your Employer. And so this book is about a school that teaches people how to murder. I'm just going to give you guys a really short synopsis during this video since we do have 11 books to talk about. But the way that this ended, even though this was made this year, so technically there could still be a sequel, I don't think there's going to be, because of the way that this book ended, and I would really have liked to see other books. So the way that this book was written is it's written as a manuscript for people who want to murder their employer. And I would like to see, like, murder your fiance, murder your next door neighbor, because they talk about things like that in the book, but I would like to see what those books would look like. And this does say volume 1, but when you look on Goodreads, it doesn't look like there are any more. The next prompt is a book that should have had a spin-off series. So for me, I think that this would be Nettle and Bone. So this book is very, very short. And so that in and of itself, I think there are a lot of really rich characters in this book that I would like to see focused on, but specifically I would like to see a spin-off series with I believe she was called a Grave Witch or a Bone Witch. I think it was a Grave Witch. In this series, I would like to see her storyline. I think that would be really interesting, but I would accept a series just with all of the different characters that you have in this book. This book, you follow a daughter. I think she's the third daughter in a royal line, and her sisters have been married off. Specifically, her middle sister is married to a very abusive person, and she's trying to save her sister. And so this story follows her journey in seeking kind of magical help to make that happen, or to help her sister. And one of those characters happens to be a Grave Witch. So yeah, I would like to see a spin-off series of that. Number 3, an author that should write more books. So for this, I said Elizabeth Thomas, who wrote Catherine House. I believe that Elizabeth Thomas has not written anything else yet. Let me check on that real quick. Yes, currently this is Elizabeth Thomas's only book, at least on Goodreads, unless I haven't done a lot of digging, so maybe if she goes by like another name, I don't know. But if you've never heard of this, I totally understand that this book is one that you're either going to love or you're going to hate. You follow, I'm not going to remember the main girl's name, but you follow a student who goes to Catherine House, which is a very prestigious institution. But for people who go in, there is a price that they have to pay. So they don't have to pay tuition, but what they have to give is they have to give 3 years of their life. And that is 3 years where they are completely and totally reliant on Catherine House. They're not allowed to leave the grounds. They're not allowed to contact their family. They are essentially cut off from society, and they are put in Catherine House and taught through Catherine House. So everything else is provided, food, room and board, but they have to give up 3 years of their life. And this book has some really creepy things that happen in it. A lot of people do not like the ending of this book, and a lot of people also think that nothing happens. This book is very meandering, and I do think it has a plot, but it's definitely more on the atmospheric, eerie side of things, and like I said, it does meander, but I really loved it, and I would love to see what else this author can do. Prompt number 4 is a character that should have ended up with someone else. For this, I'm going to choose the Sword of Kaigan, which I'll tell you a brief synopsis, but I don't think I'm going to tell you the specific character that I think should end up with somebody else, because I think that might be a spoiler. So I'm just going to give you the synopsis of what this book is about. If you've never heard of Sword of Kaigan, you follow a mother who is raising, I believe, 4 sons on Kaigan, and Kaigan is known as it's a little island that raises their sons to be warriors for a larger empire. And they're raised in a very structured society, and where the men become warriors and the women are very submissive and docile. And so you get to follow this mother's journey raising her sons in this environment, and you get to see some of her past as well. Prompt number 5, a story that should have ended differently. So for me, this is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I absolutely love this book, so I'm not saying that the ending made this book not for me, but I do think the very, very end of this book, it just made me sad and mad, and I understand it, and I kind of liked it, but it was not the happy-go-lucky ending that I wanted. But yeah, so I would say this one, although I still absolutely love this book. From number 6, a book that should have a movie franchise. So I chose a series for this. I chose the Bloodsworn Saga, and I can't remember which book was the first. I think The Shadow of the Gods was first, and then The Hunger of the Gods was second, but I'll put the first book up on the screen so you guys can see it. This is a very massive fantasy series that follows multiple POVs, and they're all in this world that is having some things happen that are causing war, or wars that have already happened. You have dead gods that are these giant animals that have some of their blood has been left in individuals, and that imbues their powers to those individuals. They also have left their bones from when they died, and those also have powers, and so people seek those out. It's a very vast world, and I would love to see this as a movie, because I would love to see what they do with the kind of this has a very Nordic vibe to it. I would love to see that. I would love to see like the gritty atmosphere of it. I would love to see the Bloodsworn, which are the mercenaries, I guess, that you could call them. Or I can't, it's been a minute since I've read these as well. There are also people who have the blood of the gods in them, and I can't remember if they are the Bloodsworn or if I know that some people in the book call them tainted, and I would love to see that in movie format. And then, like I said, I would love to see the gods and how they interact, these massive creatures interacting with people. I think it would be really fun. Number 7, a book that should have a TV show. And once again, I chose a series. I was going to choose Stormlight Archive for this. And I know Stormlight is eventually going to get either a movie or a TV show. I'm pretty sure Brandon Sanderson wants it to be a TV show. And I can't remember if it was supposed to be animated or not. However, I get really nervous when my absolute all-time favorite books are up for adaptation, because I know that a lot of times the movies don't live up to the books. And with the Stormlight Archive, there's just so much in the books that I don't know how all of it would be packed into a movie. I think that it is possible in a TV show, but you're still going to miss elements because you can't express everything in a movie that you can in a book. But if Brandon Sanderson is involved, I think it will be good. So that's the first thing that came to mind, but I decided to pick something different, and this goes along with the last video that I made for you guys, and that is Robot and Monk. So this is a series that follows a tea monk and a robot, and it is just very cozy and lighthearted. You follow this society has had robots in the past, but the robots became sentient and essentially put down whatever they were doing at the time. They were kind of seen as the civilization builders, and they helped build society as it was, but they put down all their stuff and they left, and they said, humans, you're gonna have to figure it out yourselves. And they haven't been seen again, and this tea monk who decides to go on a journey ends up running into one, and they want to know the question of, what do people need? And so you follow their journey walking through, trying to figure out, what do people need? What does that mean? What does that mean in society? What does that mean in our families? What does that mean in friendships? What do people need? And it's just a really lovely story. And what kind of made me think of this is one of the shows that I've watched over and over again when I'm having a hard time is Hilda on Netflix. And it was originally a graphic novel, I believe. I mean, still is a graphic novel, and I'm pretty sure they're still producing volumes for that graphic novel as well. But they made a show out of it on Netflix, and it's so cute. It's about this little girl who is kind of a wilderness explorer, and she just loves the world around her and wants everyone to get along, and it's so wholesome and lighthearted and heartwarming. And so that's kind of what I think whenever I think of the robot, or the tea monk and the robot. I just think that it would be an adult version of, it's not going to be exactly like Hilda, obviously, but it would be, I still think it would be a really fun TV show to watch the journey of the tea monk and the robot travel through the countryside. Prompt number 8 is a book that you would like to have only one POV. And I searched, guys, and if you have an answer to this question that you would like to recommend, please put it in the comments down below. I love multiple POVs. It is something that I strive for in books. So I don't know that I have read a book that has multiple POVs that I thought, man, I really just wish that we would have focused on one character. Now, there may have been books that had 5 POVs, and one of them I wasn't super into, but never all of them. So I am going to change this prompt for me and say a book that I wish had more than one POV. So I'm going to flip it on its head and do that instead. So for me, I chose the Farseer trilogy for this. I think that if the Farseer trilogy had more than one POV, it would reach a lot more audiences than it does. And it's already far-reaching, so that's not to say anything bad about the Farseer trilogy. I absolutely love this trilogy. It follows Fitz, who is the bastard son of a king, and he kind of gets dropped off on the doorstep of the kingdom's stableman and is told, you know, he's your problem, you figure it out. And he is thrust into this world of politics and this society that doesn't want him, but also will not let him go. And yeah, you follow his life, and there are 2 different types of magics in the world. It's a very long story, and I've only gotten through the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy, and I think there's like 16 different books in the world, the realm of the Elderlings that this exists in, and some of them are Fitz books, and so I have not read all of Fitz's story yet. I have just read the first 3, but I absolutely loved it. But I do think it would be interesting to get different perspectives within this world other than just Fitz, and you do just live in Fitz's head the entire time. So I think it would be interesting to see this written with multiple POVs. The next prompt is a book that you think should have a cover change. And I would say the 5th season is probably one that I would recommend having a cover change. I don't absolutely hate this. I think that it's fine, but I loved this book. It's so complex. The characters in it are so rich. The world building is fascinating. It's very well plotted. And this cover just doesn't say anything about the book. Like, if you walked into a bookstore and saw this, you would have no idea what it's about. And that's for a world that's so rich, and a book that I thought was absolutely fantastic. I wish that it had a more captivating cover. I guess I should say what this book is about. I've talked about this in recent videos, so I'll be very brief. You follow 3 POVs in this, and they are all different stages of life. So you have a young girl, a young adult, and a middle-aged woman. And you follow them all in different avenues of life. They are all what you call origins, which are humans that can interact with the earth and sense the movement in the earth and other things. And they are feared because of this, and so you get to experience what they experience in this world that's not super forgiving. You also, within this world, have some apocalyptic events happening that they have to deal with. And once again, in all stages of life, you get to see kind of how that affects them. Number 10 is a book that should have kept the original cover. This is actually not a book that I have read yet, but I really liked the original covers of Darker Shade of Magic. So I love V. Schwab, and so I have tried to read a lot of their backlist, and this is one that's on my radar. And the original covers were very interesting to me. They're not like wow covers, but the new covers I just don't vibe with. And I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if it's the color change, because I think the colors in the original books were very interesting and they're not eye-popping, but I think they go along with the storyline. And yeah, the new covers, yeah, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. Prompt number 11, and the last prompt, is a series that should have stopped after book 1. For me, this is the Inheritance Games, which I know some people are going to come at me because of this. I understand that a lot of people have loved the entire series. However, I really enjoyed the intrigue and the games in the first one, and the further you get in the series, the more convoluted the games get and the more relationship based the books get, which I think was a part of the first book that I enjoyed, but I liked the fact that it was a side portion of the book. If you haven't heard of the Inheritance Games, I can't remember what the main character's name is, but she is a young girl who is very, very down on her luck, at some points living in her car, and all of a sudden she is called to the reading of a will for a man she didn't know and becomes one of the richest people in the country. And the stipulation of her gaining this wealth is that she has to live on the estate with the family of the man who essentially did not get the inheritance that she got. They thought they were going to get, and she has to live with his family for a year. And there are a whole bunch of different games and puzzles that happen in this book because of mysteries around her and around some of the other characters in the story. And I thought the first book was fantastic, and every book after that I liked less and less. I think that I enjoyed the second one more than the third, but yeah, I think that this story could have been wrapped up in one book and it would have been amazing. So that is it for the Totally Should've book tag. Once again, if you guys are interested in participating in this book tag, please do. And if you don't have a channel of your own, but you're still interested in answering any of these prompts, answer them in the comments. I would love to know what your guys' answers to each of these was. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.